What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well tonight. So, let's go ahead and talk about some interesting news that's been going on in the markets for Pokemon, as far as some new news that's been popping off. That's pretty exciting for a lot of people, I would say, for the whole general community. And let's talk about this GameStop news of GameStop buying your PCA cards. And to give you guys my opinion, my 2 cents of what I think about it, and then how it will affect the Pokemon markets going forward in the future as far as investing in Pokemon. So let's go ahead and get started. So obviously, you guys have heard the news that, I think it was like a few days ago that GameStop announced that they're going to be buying your PCA cards. If you have any PCA cards that's above an 8 and better, GameStop will most likely buy it off of you. I don't know how that's going to work out because let's say if I have like a reverse hollow card that is graded, right? Will they still take those, even though it's not really? Maybe it is desirable. I don't know, but it's definitely like a lower end card. So I'm curious about that. Like, do they take particular graded cards, or is it everything? Because if it's everything, this definitely could backfire on GameStop because you have lines of people just getting rid of all their PCA cards that are just extremely just ridiculous. Some of them are ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them are ridiculous. Like to get some of them graded. Um, but nonetheless, we'll see what happens with that. Overall, it's good for the buyers or not buyers, sellers that are getting rid of their PCA cards. Great for them. Get cash to convert that into cash. There's an outlet for those who want to get rid of their cards, their graded cards, to go on ahead and walk into your nearby GameStop and get some cash or get store credit at their stores. Now let's go and talk about like more interesting things because obviously I'm just talking about the boring stuff. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the things I really want to talk about, which is what is GameStop's long-term plan with this? Okay, because I like to speculate. That's why I think a lot of people like watching this channel when I'm talking about like different topics of like the investment sectors of TCG. Is I speculate. I think speculation is fun. I want to know like what's going to happen the next 12 months. I want to know what's going to happen the next 5 years, and just looking at data, looking at trends, looking at historical data, try to predict what's going to happen. Now, obviously, we can look at the data, we can look at trends, and we could be completely wrong of what happens the next 12 months to a year, right? No one really knows, okay? So that's why speculation's fun, right? um, so GameStop has been, by the way, GameStop has been selling Pokemon goods for the longest time. At least for the last like past 5 years, I would say. Maybe before or after the pandemic, maybe. Maybe they pivot I guess, their business model and start selling more of the TCG stuff rather than just all video games. Because honestly, guys, like video games don't appreciate very well. Most video games are kind of crap. Unless you get an OG game or a vintage game, unless you get a vintage game that's graded or something like that that may have some value, most video games do not have value. Um, so that's just my opinion. I mean, I started selling video games when I first started my eBay, and I noticed that there wasn't really that many good expensive games I could flip, right? I think the highest flip I ever got from a video game was like $50, right? Which I was happy that day when I flipped it for $50. I forget which game it was. I think it was like a MLB show, or an MLB show, whatever it's called. It's like an MLB game, whatever the case may be. Um, so what's GameStop's long-term plan? Like I said, they've been selling Pokemon goods for the longest time. What's their long-term plan with the PCA graded cards? I honestly don't know. I don't know what their plan is because it's a little weird. Okay, it's a little weird because do they plan to take people's cards and dump it back to the secondary market, like eBay's, the Makaris, the whatnots? I mean, that's my question. Does GameStop have a humongous GameStop eBay store that they can just dump all this? Because they're going to get a lot more supply than I think they're going to get sales, in my opinion. Just because no one, I mean, dude, we're in 2024. People want to go on Amazon, buy their stuff really, really quick, boom, and get out, right? People are not gonna go to the mall to buy something where they can just buy it off of Amazon or they can just buy it online. You get what I'm saying? So little that's where I'm curious. Like, what is GameStop's long-term plan with this? Because if that's their plan to dump it back on the secondary market, the Makaris, eBays, whatnots, and have, you know, big stores, I would say, storefronts online to dump this stuff, then this is pure genius. This is pure competition, right? If they don't plan to do that, then this is kind of arbitrary, in my opinion. This is not. It's like, oh, okay, cool. They're buying your cards. This really goes in the favor of the person that's getting rid of their cards. So that's my curiosity. That's like my question. What's the long term plan? Um, we'll see what happens with that. I think if they if they end up buying way too much of Pokemon slabs, and if they're not selling them, they're not dumping them on the secondary market like the eBays, the Makaris, and the whatnots. This could potentially be a bad idea for GameStop because they're going to be sitting on a lot of capital that's not flowing, right? So, I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, GameStop was always, GameStop was trending at the time, like back in the, 2008, 2009, 2010, back in the Call of Duty 4 days. So, like, if you played Call of Duty 4, you know exactly what I'm talking about during those days. Midnight releases, things like that when GameStop was at its prime. I see GameStop now as like a blockbuster, just slowly, getting phased out, eventually going to be extinct because you don't have to go to GameStop to buy video games anymore. You can go to GameStop to, or you can go to GameStop to buy video games if you want to, but not, no one, you don't need to do that anymore. You can just download your games digitally now for video games. That's why I think they're doing this move so they can, allocate a little bit more of their capital towards TCGs, right? But again, if they're not doing it smart, if they're not being a hybrid, meaning they have the brick and mortar side and then they have the online side. If they're not doing the online side, it's just going to be a fail, in my opinion. Um, we'll see what happens. But this is actually very important, I would say, as far as Pokemon investments. The sentiment of Pokemon investments, like right now, the Pokemon markets are extremely hot right now. I think this is why GameStop is like, okay, we need to hop in, we need to hop into this because right now the markets right now for everything, dude, like anything Sword and Shield is just blowing up. Singles, slabs, booster boxes. Lost Origins is going now. Fusion Strike has been going. Evolving Skies has been going. Silver Tempest is next in line. Brilliant Stars could be the next one in line. These sets are going up so much and so fast. Same thing with the slabs and singles, man. Like Umbreon, Umbreon. I think what Umbreon PCA 10. How much is that right now? Let's look this up right now because dude, I knew it, man. Like when I looked at the Umbreon PCA 10 back when like a year ago when we were in the bear market. Um, dude, this card rated for PCA 10 at the time was like $800. I remember it like a lot, like I think it bottomed out at $800, right, for this card. Okay, here we go. Price charting. Now this card is worth about $1,400 now on average for a PCA 10. Okay, like I'll lower my screen really quick. So like right now it's a very high 1,300, but you can see the sales volumes, like they're just fluctuating, right? You got one for 1,600, one for like a mid 14, one that's a high 17, and then the average it basically averages out basically being um about 1,400. So, dude, if I can here, let me look at the chart. So like if we look at PCA 10s, right? PCA 10s. How do you do this? 10? This is ungraded. I don't give a shit about ungraded. Yeah. All right. Like I said, dude, this was all okay. So from yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, dude. This bottomed out basically being like $860, and then start climbing back up, dude. Like right here, guys. I'm not making this up when I told you this card was right around $800 PCA 10. Okay. Now it's almost near $1,400. And it seems like this bull market is not going to stop anytime soon. This could be well over double. This can get doubled. This number could be $1,600 by the end of the year, essentially doubling it since November or I'm sorry, January of 2023. Okay, I hope you guys can see these numbers, right? See that number, right? Yeah, you guys see that. But but man, dude, like that's what I'm saying. Like Pokemon investments, I'm telling you guys, my last video I told you guys, Pokemon is the best performing asset right now. If you held on the Fusion Strike, or if you held on to a few boxes of Evolving Skies, you're up like on the Evolving Skies, you're basically up like 60% right now. The Fusion Strike, you are up like maybe 2x, 2x your money. Like it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like you're up like 2x on your money on Fusion Strike because Fusion Strike was so dirt cheap when you first got it. You know, $99 in the last like 2 years. That's the price range it was hovering at. You know, and then obviously start climbing up to like, 110, 120, 130, 140, and then moonshot. Now it's like worth like 230, 240 now. And like I said, if you held on to that Fusion Strike box that was worth $9 2 years ago, you would have 2 extra money if you just sold at this point right now. So um, Lost Origin's going up. The Giratina, slab is going up too. Uh, Silver Tempest is next in line. Brilliant Stars, that's another one that's gonna probably go up. So, dude, it's just like right now, people are starting to recognize that this is a serious asset class, even though this is considered as an unregistered asset class, right? This is unregistered. It's not regulated. But nonetheless, that's why they call it, alternative investing, right? Collectibles, the collectible world, right? But nonetheless, this has performed way better than the S&P. You can look at the numbers of the S&P. If you held onto an Evolving Skies box, or if you held onto a Fusion Strike box, or whatever the case may be, or a few slabs or whatever the case may be, you are up way more than the S&P. You're up by a lot, compared to like a lot of stocks. So Pokemon is a serious asset. You can't play around with Pokemon, dude. Like it's starting to get up there. GameStop recognizes that they want to get a piece of, they want to put some skin in the game and get a piece of that pie, you know, and get a bigger piece when they go to sell. I don't know what GameStop's move is long term, but we're gonna find out what's gonna happen, right? Um, but nonetheless, the sentiment is there. They want a piece, and right now, the FOMO right now in this market is it's looking like where people are like, damn, I should have bought during the bear market. I should have accumulated during the bear market. When everyone didn't care about this stuff. Now that everyone's caring, everyone is just you see all these prices just booming. Um, Now you have a lot of FOMO right now. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it now. I'm kind of rambling now, but I just wanted to just go ahead and put my opinions out there. So, yeah, if you guys liked today's video, give me a like, give me a sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Peace out, guys.